officials said they had indications suggesting Russia might be preparing to use chemical agents in Ukraine. President Joe Biden later said it publicly. But 3 U.S. officials told NBC News this week that there is no evidence Russia has brought any chemical weapons near Ukraine. They said the U.S. released the information to deter Russia from using the banned munitions. So, did I not say this verbatim last week? They did not tell you that Russia would use chemical weapons because that was real information. They told you that to shape public opinion. When they tell you things, it's not saying we learned this, we're going to tell you what we know. They're telling you a variety of things, and the goal is not to inform you, the goal is to change your perspective, because what the people think is actually crucial to their strategy. So they're just bombarding you with things. They're bombarding your mind with words and information to alter your mind. That's the definition of propaganda. It's not information. They're not saying, here's a full report. This is a factual account of everything going on to inform you of the goings-ons. They're just bombarding you with rhetoric. They're bombarding you with some things that are true, some things that are not true, things that are half true, in order to create a public perception and to create a favorable environment, a favorable PR environment for the rollout of their policy. So they're not trying to tell you what the real situation is with chemical weapons, but they do need you to think a certain thing, again, so that when they roll out their policy, it's going to have a particular reaction and be received in a certain way. And they're admitting that. They're saying, yeah, we made it up. There's no evidence that Putin was doing that, but we just told you that so you would think that, because if you think that, and if the world thought that, then that would change how Putin acted. So you see, public opinion, whatever their policy is, whatever their strategy is, it is dependent on public opinion. So public opinion then becomes part of the war. Just like bombing and shooting and all of that, maneuvering, just like those things are part of the war, just like those things affect the outcome of the war and then have to be planned, and there have to be logistics, there has to be a strategy, public opinion is too. The outcome of the war is partially contingent on what the public thinks. So the U.S. government must control how the public thinks. That means they're not just going to tell you something and say, hey, it's off to the races, draw your own conclusions. They've got to carefully manage what the people think by telling them a mixture of truth and lies, telling them a mixture of things that are partially true, things that are complete fabrications. They've got to control what people think because it will affect the outcome of the policy. I've said this for years. You cannot take regime media at face value because it goes from the National Security Council, State Department, White House, NATO. It goes from there to AP and Reuters. It goes from there to New York Times and Washington Post. From there to CNN, MSNBC, NBC. From there to BuzzFeed. And from there to Snapchat News on your phone. And so, somebody pulls a stupid 22-year-old Zoomer, pulls up their phone and watches some faggot millennial say, breaking news, here's your 15-second scoop on Ukraine. And yeah, it came a long way, but it came directly from the State Department. And so this faggot millennial, he might not be in on it, but he is laundering the regime's program for them through public opinion. The decision makers make a decision, they give it to the spokespeople, and then the spokespeople run it through a long chain of the media ecosystem, and then it arrives at you, and you think you're getting information. You're getting regime propaganda. You're getting your information from the government. Do you think the government tells you the truth about any of this? Why do governments lie? It's because the job of the government is to pursue a particular policy agenda. Well, the reception publicly of that agenda, particularly in a democracy, affects the outcome of the policy.